I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Islamic Republic of Iran.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. At the outset, I would like to seize this opportunity and express my delegation's sincere condolences and utmost sympathy to the people and government of the Kuwait and the demise of Kuwait Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmad Al-Sabah, and pay our tribute to his outstanding contribution to promote moderation and also peaceful coexistence, and also maintenance of peace and security in the Persian Gulf and beyond. Mr. President, today the Prime Minister of the Israeli regime made some baseless and unfounded allegation against my country. The dissemination of false and fabricated accusation against regional countries, particularly the Islamic Republic of Iran, has long been a standard practice of Israel with the exclusive purpose of concealing its crime and brutalities against the innocent Palestinian people. Nevertheless, it is quite evident that no amount of disinformation and manufactured crisis can cover up the criminal nature as well as the expansionist and the warmongering policies that this regime has pursued over the course of past 7 years. Mr. President, Israel, in flagrant violation of international law and in total disregard for all relevant United Nations resolutions, continues to violate the fundamental rights and dignity of Palestinian people and other Arabs living under its occupation. As a result, Palestinians are deprived of their lands and properties, forcibly evicted and subjected to the violence, terror, and intimidation. Meanwhile, any right of the Palestinian to self-determination totally have been negated under the title of one Jewish state. Worse still, under the current challenging circumstances, and as the international community focuses on the mitigating the severe effects and consequences of the COVID-19, the Israeli regime continues to exploit this period to accelerate its illegal settlement activities as well as annexation schemes and further entrench its military occupation. Simultaneously, the inhuman and suffocating blockade on the Gaza Strip continues to deepen the severity of humanitarian crisis and inflict misery on Palestinian civilian population there. At the regional level, the continued occupation of the territories of the occupied Syrian Golan, as well as part of the Lebanon, and frequent encroachment against the countries of the region have seriously endangered peace and security in the region and beyond. Distinguished colleagues, Israel continues to flout all international regimes governing weapons of mass destruction by refusing to adhere to the NPT, the Chemical Weapon Convention, and the Convention on Prohibition of Development, Production, and Stockpiling of Bacteriological and Toxin Weapons and their destruction. Further, it continues to seriously hamper the establishment of the nuclear weapon-free zone in Middle East proposed by Iran in 1974. Indeed, nuclear weapons in the hands of this regime pose the most serious threat to the security of a state in the Middle East and to the non-proliferation regime. Nevertheless, it attempts portray Iran's conventional weapon capabilities or its exclusively peaceful nuclear program, which is under the most robust verification of the International Atomic Energy Agency, as a challenge to the regional stability. This is but a hypocritical move to distract attention from the real danger posed to regional peace and security by Israel, particularly its nuclear weapon arsenal, as well as clandestine and unsafeguarded nuclear installation and activities. The Israeli regime's entire history is full of aggression against its neighbors and other countries in the Middle East region. Given such a dark record, the hysterical attempts by this regime to seek international sympathy and favor by claiming that it is in fact the one that is under threat are nothing but manipulative propaganda. All such illegal policies and practices have been taken while the Security Council, as the main body responsible for maintenance of international peace and security, fails to live up to its responsibilities vis-à-vis Israel's aggressive policies against Palestinians as well as countries of the region. In fact, the full-fledged and discriminatory support of the United States, which resulted in the rendering the Security Council inactive and ineffective with respect to all crimes and illegal measures of Israel, has played a major role in emboldening it to continue such policies and practices unabated and with total impunity. Given Israel's threat to regional and international peace and security, as well as in unlawful and brutal measures against Palestinian people, the international community, the United Nations, and Security Council must be fully vigilant toward all of the destabilizing policies and illegal practice of this regime in volatile region of the Middle East, along with their ramification for international peace and security, and thus hold it accountable for all such inhuman policies and unlawful practices. Mr. President, I would like to take this opportunity in order to respond to unfounded claims against territorial integrity of my country by representative of the United Arab Emirates regarding the Iranian island of the Abu Musa, Leather Tomb, and Greater Tomb. The Islamic Republic of Iran reiterates its consistent and principled position on it that it does not recognize the existence of any such dispute between Iran and UAE. The three islands have been an inseparable part of Iranian territory, and therefore any claim to the contrary is categorically rejected. Nonetheless, and to show its utmost respect for principle of good neighborliness, Iran has always expressed its readiness to talk with the UAE bilaterally with a view to removing any misunderstanding that may exist on the part of the UAE over the Abu Musa Island. This country, by raising unfounded claim against my country, is trying to abuse this august body in order to advance its expansionist policies in the Persian Gulf region. It has ill-intendedly hoped for the conclusion of, quote, a more comprehensive agreement instead of the JCPOA. This is nothing but to cover up its joint attempt with U.S. and Israeli regime to seriously weaken the effective implementation of the plan as well as Resolution 2231. It still systematically pursues such policies in gross violation of its explicit legal obligation under the Charter and the resolution. The UAE has also called for stopping Iran's ballistic missiles program. This is a clear example of intervening in the domestic affairs of the state prohibited by the Charter of the United Nations. Accordingly, it is aimed at drawing attention away from the skyrocketing trend of its military expenditure as well as its greedy appetite for importing sophisticated weaponry. The UAE is also hosting a large number of foreign forces and military installations, turning the region into highest concentration of foreign military installation in the world. Thus, by claiming that is in the fact the one that is under threat are nothing but to manipulate propaganda. The EUA powers projection and expansionist policy extend well beyond the region, the living example of which is its well-documented transfer of the arms and ammunition to regional conflicts from Syria to Libya, in clear violation of the Security Council resolution. In conclusion, Mr. President, I would like to take this opportunity and urge international community to take appropriate measures regarding the stabilizing behavior and unlawful conduct of the UAE in the early volatile region of the Middle East. I thank you.
I call on the representative of United Arab Emirates